boy, I'm at a loss. I am drawing a blank right now and just I'm literally praying for inspiration, trying to make this work. I'm a little bit nervous. And it's not like me to be nervous when I have to perform. Maybe sometimes I get nervous, I don't know, but I've got to write something down because I've got to make it concise. I've got to get to the point because they don't want it long. Anyway, here's praying for inspiration.
Hey friends, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It is Friday, August 11th, 2023, and I have some tea for you that I wasn't really expecting because I pay attention to the news and I saw that there was this Supreme Court ruling related to an industry that Kody Brown is involved in. And after a deeper dive into not only what the Supreme Court said, but also the business that he runs and what he actually sells, Kody Brown could actually be in a world of, he could be facing serious consequences because there's a federal law now that prohibits the products that he sells unless he has a license and the products have serial numbers. And to date, Kody Brown nor his business partners are licensed to sell these products, and yet they've been going to shows all across the country, even throughout 2022 after these laws were put into effect, through gun shows. And we need to talk about it because this is a man that's literally on television. TLC is traveling with him while he's with his friends. We're going to see these friends on this upcoming season. His business partners, Nathan and Brian, are going to show up because they're working together and they're going to talk to Kody about his divorce. But what they're doing, and I doubt that TLC is going to film this, but they're going into these sporting shows that sell these products. And Kody sells kits where someone can build their own product, and he doesn't have a license. And now there's a law that bans this, and I just checked ATF today and no license. Kody is literally walking a very fine line. So let's dive into today's topic. Before we do, can you please do me a big favor and give this video a thumbs up? Also, please subscribe to my channel if you have not yet subscribed by clicking on the subscribe button. Also, make sure to click on the bell if you'd like to get notified of any time I go live or new content loads. If you have something to say, make sure to say it by leaving a comment and share this video with your friends. Okay, I want to just be very clear here that Kody Brown and his friends, Brian and Nathan, formed a business called US Tactical LLC in 2022, and the company is based out of Moab, Utah, and the address is connected to Nathan Diltz, who's listed as the registered agent. So this is a Utah-based company. Now, this company, through, if you go to search what it's registered at through the state, is supposed to be selling sporting goods, musical instruments. It kind of falls into this recreational products type thing. What they are not is licensed in the state of Utah or federally to be dealing in firearms. So the ATF manages from a federal level all the sales of these products, and certain products have to have serial numbers. They have to be able to be traced. Certain people have to go through background checks. Licenses are required by the sellers. Manufacturers have requirements for what they put on these products so that they can be traced in the event that they're used for activities that are not legal. And Kody and his buddies have been living in this gray area. Up until April of 2022, it was not illegal for anyone to sell a kit, which is sort of a build your own. Kody and his buddies sell build your owns for AR-15s. And these kits are basically you can take them home and they have the basic parts for you to put one together. They have different builds that you can make, different scopes and handles and all the different things that you can make to customize your own AR. And until April of 2022, these products were not regulated at all. So it was a loophole that people like Kody could go through where they could sell these without having to go through the ATF to get licensed. Licensing requires a whole level of, scrutiny. You're under the federal government. You have to go through different background checks. You have to have all these different taxes that you have to pay. You have to keep like very careful records of what's going in and what's going out and who you sold it to, and you have to follow all the different steps when you're going through sales. And the shows that Kody and his buddies go to are known to have issues because it's a way for products to get trafficked, because it's just easier because there's lots and lots of people there. There's lots of groups there. There's lots of, products going back and forth. And these shows for years have been showing up in federal cases for trafficking of products. And his own buddy, Brian Colwell, who's his business partner, was actually charged in 2003 for papering these products illegally, giving them credentials that they don't have, making them legal even though they were not legal. And then he turned on the person that he was doing this for. That guy got sentenced to felonies. Brian was sentenced to misdemeanors, though his house was raided, and he admitted to filing illegal papers on these products. And that's who he's in business with. So Kody used to have a license to sell these products. And I'm talking about the products that you would be, not the kits. And then for the last several years, through these shows, he's been selling the kits. And it was a way for him to not have to get registered with the licenses. But in April of 2022, the Biden administration passed a law on ghost guns, which basically made it harder for people to get these in their hands. And the reason why is because they say that there's been issues with unserialized private-made arms that law enforcement are recovering at scenes in cities across the country. Last year alone, they had found 20,000 suspected ghost and reported to the ATF as having been recovered by law enforcement in investigations, a tenfold increase from 2016. Because these lack serial numbers and are marked on other arms, law enforcement has exceedingly difficult time tracing them once they're found. So they can't figure out who they belong to because they don't have a serial number, and they can't trace them back to the person that purchased it. So basically what they implemented was a rule that banned the businesses of manufacturing these products that don't have serial numbers. These are ones that you can buy them online, you can buy them at a store, and you could buy them without a background check, okay? And then you could assemble them into something that worked within 30 minutes with equipment if you have it at home. Well, now it clarified that in April of 2022, these kits would be qualified as arms, no longer mysteries. Like they're no longer, meaning they are going to fall under the Control Act. And that commercial manufacturers of these kits must therefore become licensed. They have to include serial numbers on the kit frames or receiver, and the commercial sellers of these kits have to become federally licensed and run background checks prior to a sale, just like they have to do with other commercially made firearms. Say this went into place in April of 2022. The law itself, say someone had a bunch of these kids but they didn't have serial numbers, the law also required that these people that had them to get them a serial number. So they had to give it a serial number, and it also required them to do that before they sold it. So if he had any of these kits prior to this, in order to sell them legally, he had to get a serial number on the kit, and then he also had to get licensed by the ATF. So before April 2022, he could sell these without a serial number, without a license. After April 2022, he was not able to sell these without a license and without serial numbers, except Kody was selling them in the fall of 2022 and in the early part of 2023 without a license. I don't know if he had serial numbers on him, but I know for a fact that US Tactical LLC does not have a license. Kody does not have a license. Nathan Diltz does not have a license. Brian Caldwell does not have a license. I checked licenses for this specific business in Utah, Arizona, and Oklahoma because that's where the three individuals live. Nothing. This means that Kody if caught, could be arrested for selling these, and he could face anywhere from 5 to 10 years in prison. Now, in July, someone sued the makers of these, or someone that sells them or makes them, sued in the state of Texas, and so they blocked this law from going into place, which then allowed people again to go back and sell them. But then the Supreme Court put that on hold just this week and said, no, you don't get to block that rule. We're going to allow this rule to maintain and stay in place until this lawsuit goes all the way through. So they're suing, saying that it's unconstitutional to make sure that these products have a serial number on it. But long story short, while all of this was going on, this law was put into place in April of 2022, and it's really just for protection, to help law enforcement in the event that something happens with one of these, so they can trace it to the individual purchaser, and that so they're make sure that the sellers are selling them to people that have gone through background checks, and then the sellers also have to have licenses through the ATF, so they have to go through the process of getting their license through the ATF. Which begs the question, why haven't Kody, Nathan, or Brian attempted to get their license through the ATF? It doesn't make any sense to me. I checked all the records, there's nothing. I looked specifically because this company is registered in Utah. I checked the address listed along with the city and the name, nothing. That doesn't mean he couldn't be selling it under somebody else's license, but that would still be weird and kind of illegal. He's selling these products without a proper license. Brian Colwell's situation that happened back in 2003 happened because of a gun show. They trafficked over 1,000 of these illegal products through these shows that Brian papered. So he provided illegal paperwork claiming that they were legally purchased when they hadn't been, trying to develop a paper trail for ones that were being either brought in from another country or being sold. Say someone used it in a crime and they needed to ditch it. Some of the weapons that Brian helped paper had actually been used in crimes, and people were giving them to this guy that was then bringing them into the shows to sell so that they couldn't be traced to what they did. So it was a way to get rid of the evidence by selling it to this guy. Brian created illegal paperwork saying that this is what these were for, removing the person that did things from the culpability of it, and then they can't trace it once it's in the system. So knowing that Brian already has this history, and then Kody were trying to bypass this because they were selling the kits, and now knowing that the kits are illegal to sell without a license with the ATF, I can't believe Kody and Brian are doing this. I can't believe Nathan is doing this. I can't believe TLC is traveling with them to these shows without them having a license. And the ATF is very critical about cracking down on these. They do not want these products on the market. They do not want people selling them on the market without a license. And why he wouldn't get a license is really beyond me. So Kody could be facing prison time if caught. He could be facing his business being shut down. He could be in a whole world of trouble. Are you surprised to hear this? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. Bye, guys.